In this video, we'll take a look at how to set up your Palmtech account. We won't cover how to use the software for everything like report writing and customizing templates, but we do have other videos that you can watch that'll cover those topics. To get started, we want to make sure that we're logged into your account. Right here, I'm logged into mine, but if you haven't actually created an account yet, you can do so by going to our website and clicking on one of the free trial buttons that you see there. If you have created an account and you're not sure where to log in, you can log in by going to portal.palmtech.com. Great. So now that we're all logged in, we're going to want to go to our settings. And we can get there by clicking our name in the top right corner and then clicking on settings. And here we have quite a few different places we can go to set up our account. And we're going to start by going into company profile because these are really just the basics of our company information. So here we have our contact information, and some of this information will be pre-filled from when you set up your account. And so you want to make sure those are right. So my company looks good. My email address looks good. I'm going to go ahead and plug in my website. And for my phone, we'll plug that in. And this is really straightforward. We just type it in. We just type in what we need. And so I'm going to go ahead and fill the rest of this out. Great. Now that it's filled out, all we have to do is click on Update. And it saves it. The one item we didn't do yet was we need to add in our logo. And this will be our company logo. And we can do that by going to Edit. And we simply navigate to where it's at. And we open it and add it in. And now our logo has been added in. That's all there is to filling out your company profile. We're going to go back to Settings, which we can do by clicking up here and going to Settings, or we can navigate to Settings just by clicking here. The next thing we'll take a look at is Agreements. So we'll click on Agreements. Now that we're in the Agreements section, there's a couple things we'll look at. First off, if you want to use Palmtech for your agreements, which we recommend you do because it'll really make things simpler for you, you'll want to make sure Agreements are enabled is turned on, like we have here. Next, you can see a list of any agreements you already have. And Palmtech does come with a standard agreement already set up, ready to go that you can use. You can use it as is, or you can go in there and modify it, and that's what we see here. You also have the ability to add a new one. So if you already have an agreement that you've been using for your business and you want to continue to use that, you can do that. And we'll take a moment or two here and walk through how to add an agreement in. To do that, we'll click on Add New. This pulls up our agreement editor, and setting your agreement is really easy. We simply need to come here and we need to give it a name. We'll go ahead and call this my inspection agreement. And then I can click down here. And of course, if we wanted, we could simply type it out. But the best thing to do is to get your agreement that you have now and get it in like a PDF or a Word doc format. And most inspectors already have that. And you simply copy and paste the information from it. So for example, if I have an agreement here in a Google Doc, I can just come here, copy the whole text, then come back over here, and I can paste it in. Once it's pasted in, you can make the edits you need. So you can customize it, making things bold, underline, italic, really all the standard text editing tools, including alignment, as well as bullet list or numbered list. We'll come in here and make a couple changes. So I'll clear out my title that was in the actual agreement. And one of the big things we can do is we can add in placeholders. And so for items like the client name or the property address, this will change from inspection to inspection. And what we don't want to have to do is come into our agreement and then type it in each time. And that's really where these placeholders come in. And so we can go ahead and highlight this underline, which is where we would typically kind of fill it out each time, and then put in our placeholder. So we'll highlight that. We can delete it out. And then over here, put in a company name placeholder. Make sure our spacing looks good. And that's it. Now our company name will always be here. Next, we'll do the same thing for the property address. And for the property address, we'll do property address. Put a space, city, state, and zip. So we can add all that in. And then we want to add in the inspection date and time. And of course, you come in here and make any formatting adjustments that you need. But that's it. As far as adding your agreement in, that's all you need to do. Simply move your text over, make sure the formatting looks good, and adjust it as needed. Make sure you put in these placeholders, and then once you're done, we just scroll to the bottom and we can hit Save Agreement. Now our agreement is in here. The next thing we'll do is we'll go back to Settings and we'll click on Payments. For payments, we partner with Guardian Inspection Payments, and it's really easy to get it set up. Essentially, we would go here to Set Up Now, and it pulls up a spot where we can complete an application to get things going with Guardian. It works really well, and setup is easy. If you want help or have additional questions, you can actually reach out to us or reach out to Guardian directly, or ask us to have them reach out to you. We want to get you set up, and then once your payments are set up and enabled, you'll see a little option on here that says payments are enabled. And then every time you go to do an inspection, you'll be able to collect the payment automatically, safely, and securely. We'll go ahead and go back to Settings, and now we'll take a look at Report Settings. Here in Report Settings, we really have two options that are meaningful. The first one is we can add in our logo, and this logo impacts the report you create. So this will impact the PDF as well as the interactive HTML report. And so we want to add that in. So just like we did before, we'll go to Edit and then add in our company logo. So our company logo is added in, and we're going to uncheck Use Company Name. And now we told it to use our logo on our reports, and we simply select the color scheme. And as you kind of click through, you'll see what it looks like. I'll select this one because it most closely matches my branding. This looks good, and we'll hit Save. And that's it. Our report settings is now set up. The next thing we're going to go to here is we're going to go to Services and Fees. Here we see a list of all the services that we have set up for our business. When you get started with Palmtech, you'll have one in here. So we have home inspection, everything you need for a typical home inspection for the description at a cost of $450, and the duration. So with services, you can edit ones that are already here. So I could modify this one, for example, or I could add in new ones. If I wanted to edit this, let's say our cost for home inspection is actually $425. I click on Edit, and then come here and just make my needed change. As I'm editing this, I can also edit my inspection templates that are associated with this service. And what this means is every time I start a new inspection, I go to schedule that inspection. When I select this service, it's going to automatically pull in this template as my inspection template. And I can customize which one it uses. In this case, it has my home inspection template, so that looks good. Same thing with agreement. What agreement do I want it to use? In this case, I actually want to change it because just a few moments ago, we added in a brand new agreement. So I'm going to close out of that. I'm going to X that out, and then we're going to add in my inspection agreement, this one we just customized. I'm going to click on Done. So now our standard home inspection service is set up, but let's go ahead and add in a new one. We're going to add in a service for pool inspection. Let's say we're in an area where we do a lot of inspections on a lot of pools. So we'll add that in for the service name. For the cost, we'll do $150. For the duration, we'll say 1 hour. I could have a separate template set up with this, specifically for pool inspections and attach that, or I probably just have a category called pool in my standard home template. So I could add that in if I needed. Same thing if there's a different agreement that was used whenever I did a pool inspection. I could add that in, set that up, and then associate it here. But in this case, I don't have this set up, so I'll simply come down here for the description. And for the description, we'll just keep it simple for this video. We'll just call it pool inspection, and then we'll click on Done. So now we have home inspection set up, and we have pool inspection. And that's it. Those are both ready to go, ready for use the next time I start to do an inspection. Great. Now that our services are set up, let's go back to settings. And under settings, we really covered most of the main ones. So we looked at our company profile, looked at settings, services, and fees. We didn't go into team, so we'll click into that now. But this is essentially where you can set up your team. So if you have multiple inspectors at your organization or multiple people who will be using and accessing the software, you set them up here. You can see who's on your team, and we can add more users as needed. Of course, for any team member you add, you want to make sure you have an available license on your software. We'll go back to settings, and we'll keep working our way through. So we looked at agreements, and for billing plan, we'll come in here, and this essentially tells you what plan you're on. So if you've already subscribed, you'll see all your subscription details here, whether you went like the monthly plan, the annual plan, or a website bundle. So you'll see what plan you're on, when your next renewal is, how many licenses you have, and all that key information. If you haven't subscribed yet, it'll look like what we have here, which will say you're on a trial plan and give you the details on how many free inspections you have left. To subscribe, simply click on See All Plans or Subscribe Now. We'll go back to Settings, and we have the option for Report, which we looked at, and then we have the option for Import. And for this import, right now this is set up so that you can import your data if you were using an earlier version of Palmtech. As time goes on, we're building out import options from other software platforms. And so if you're watching this video, go ahead and click on it and you can see if the software you're using is available there. So with that, that covers everything in account settings. The last thing we really want to look at is our email notifications, which we can get to right here at the top. Here we see a list of all the email notifications available. And there's really two things we do with each one of these. The first one is we can check and mark who will get them. So for example, we have appointment confirmation. I can choose to have this sent to the buyer, my client. That makes a lot of sense. I can choose to have it sent to the agent as well as to the inspector. In this case, I'm going to check it because I want this confirmation to also go to the agent because they need to know that information. So I have those options for my various different emails. The second thing we can do for each one of these is we can go to Edit Template. And this is where we can edit the actual text of the email that goes out. Every one of these is set up with default text that works really well. So they're ready to go right out of the box. You don't actually have to change anything, but you might want to make a couple tweaks. You might have some preferences for the information contained in them. No problem. You simply come in here and make those changes. And it actually uses the same editor that we used before with the agreement. So we have the same standard options, and we can even use placeholders like we have here. So we are scheduled to perform an inspection at, it'll put in the property address and the city, state, zip. So all that's right there. If you make any changes, you can send a test if you'd like. You can save it, or if at any point in time you want to go back to the default settings, you can hit Reset to Default. If we go back to notifications, you can see, once again, all the options available. And so that's a look at really the basics of getting your account set up. If you walk through those various sections and those various setting screens we just looked at, you're going to be off to a great start. The last thing I wanted to go over is how to install the software. So if you're using Palmtech on a desktop or a laptop, you simply access it by logging in through the link we showed earlier, portal.palmtech.com. That'll give you access to everything we're looking at here, allow you to schedule your inspections, and you can even write your reports. So you can do everything simply by logging in to your account here. If you want to use Palmtech on a mobile device like a phone or tablet, you can access it the same way by going to portal.palmtech.com, get access to all this functionality. But we also have a native app you can install on your iPhone, your iPad, or your Android phone or Android tablet. It's really easy to do. I'll show you real quickly here. All you have to do is simply pull up the App Store on an iPhone or iPad or the Play Store on Android. You search for Palmtech Complete. Palmtech will show up in the search results. You select it, and then you install it. Once it's done installing, you'll open up the app, and you have the ability to log into your account. So you put in your username, you put in your password, and then you're in. It'll automatically connect and sync with your account. You'll have access to all the changes you've made, as well as you'll instantly see any inspections you've already scheduled. And from there, you can get into it and start writing the reports on your mobile device. With that, that wraps up this video that takes a quick look at how to get started with Palmtech.